My sister-in-law, who's my husband's younger sister, and I are both adopted. My sister-in-law was adopted as an infant, and I was adopted through foster care at the age of 7 officially, but I found my family at the age of 6. Sister-in-law brought up us both being adopted before and asked questions that I didn't mind answering. She hadn't realized I was adopted through foster care, and for a little while, she didn't think we could talk about it because we came from very different adoption stories. A couple of years ago, sister-in-law, mother-in-law, and father-in-law reached out to her birth family and made contact. Then they started to speak about the unfairness of the adoption, severed all legal ties to her birth family, and from there, the three held this view that sister-in-law should have always been in the family. Still, adoption was not the right thing to do, at least not adoption as in the U.S. standard of adoption. Once this realization was made, sister-in-law decided she needed to help open my eyes. My husband told her to leave me out of it, and I would never feel different about my adoption. Sister-in-law didn't like that, and she went behind my husband's back so we could talk it out. I told her she would never change my mind, and I'd always be glad I was adopted. I told her my only wish was to forget everything to do with my birth family. She told me I lost all connection to them. I told her that that was good and I wanted no connection to those people. She told me I should be glad that I knew who I really was. I told her being an idiot is not who I am. For people who will wonder, that's what I was called for the first 5 years of my life while I was with birth relatives, and this includes my birth mother. I told her knowing them doesn't mean I know who I am. I didn't even know my old legal name until I went into foster care. We took time out from her for a while, but it meant missing out on family functions on his side, so we decided to have minimal contact. My husband steps in when he's there. But during a family wedding, sister-in-law took a moment when I was alone to approach me, and she started to bring up adoption, so I walked away without saying a word. I ignored her and acted like she wasn't there. This bothered her a lot. Mother-in-law and father-in-law told her she should let up and leave me be, but she came after my husband, said I was rude and had no right to walk away from her like that. A couple of extended family members, 2 old aunts of my husband's, said sister-in-law complained so much that it spoiled the wedding and I should have handled the incident better. My husband said I did nothing wrong, but I hate the added drama from it. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. And she's exhibiting classic signs of being insecure with her decision, so she's trying to get validation of her decision by making other people make the same decision around her, so she thinks that'll make it more valid when she decides. I would communicate with her in as few words as possible. What do I say or do to make you stop talking? Oh dear, I would have freaked out on a sister-in-law if that were me. My entire life has been wrecked over and over again by the notion that biological family trumps all other families. I'm incredibly tired of people who don't understand these complex situations, inserting their ignorant opinions. Send a group text to all of the sister-in-law supporters, saying, "Why are you so interested in my abusers?" This is obsessive and intrusive badgering. So the elderly aunts had their wedding experience ruined because sister-in-law kept complaining to them, and they're upset about how you handled it? LOL, seriously? What the heck, OP? What are those relatives drinking? You handled it perfectly, and I'd suggest to the 2 aunties that it might be time for a dementia screening. What are those relatives drinking? A drink called Don't Rock the Boat. Sister-in-law has the family trained to believe everyone else must adapt to her, and anyone who doesn't is at fault for any fallout she causes. The audacity of sister-in-law expecting you, OP, to the point of bullying, to feel the same way she does is a sign of a more significant issue she has. That the family expects you to sacrifice for sister-in-law's feelings is an even more substantial problem. This is one of the many things that's gone like this. But in dealing with it, keep to discussing behavior. This isn't about the topic anymore. That's just a distraction to avoid the bigger issues here. My 28 female friend Sarah, 27 female, recently gave birth to her first child 1 month ago. She's the youngest in our friend group and the last to have a child. We were all very excited to meet her child and support her during her postpartum and her journey into motherhood. So we finally got to see her this Friday, and everything was going very well. We all enjoyed meeting as a group, and motherhood seemed to be finding her well. But then another friend of ours asked her about her birth experience. Sarah told us about it and mentioned that she didn't have an epidural. I was a little annoyed, as some moms seem to think that going through unnecessary pain is something to brag about. I didn't think that Sarah was like this, so I said as a joke, "Cool, did they give you a medal? Or should we do that?" She asked me what that comment was necessary for. I told her that she knew all of us chose the epidural, and shaming us for it is not a good look, and that not having an epidural isn't something to brag about. She told me it wasn't her intention to do so, but our friends agreed with me and told her that I was right. If her point wasn't to bring us down or to brag, she could have avoided mentioning it. She just said that she was sorry if she upset us, but that she didn't mean it that way. It became sour, so we all decided to leave. I thought she would text us later and apologize, but instead, her husband sent us a text from her number. He basically told us that Sarah was incredible during birth and would have been with or without an epidural, and that we were the ones shaming her for not having one. We didn't respond, but created another group chat to discuss it. What we all agreed on is that, like many other moms who don't choose the epidural, she didn't intentionally try to shame us, but they very often think of themselves as superior, and it was sad that Sarah, who's an otherwise very kind-hearted person, turned out to be this way. We don't believe we're idiots, but Sarah hasn't talked to us since, and my husband told me that if I thought it was worth ruining a 15-year friendship over, then so be it. I would like to know if we are the idiots here, or if Sarah is. Wow, so Sarah was telling you all about her birth experience, and you managed to somehow make it entirely about yourselves. How completely self-absorbed you all must be. You are the idiot. You're not there to support her during postpartum and her journey into motherhood. If anything, you're there to attack it for being slightly different from your own. Misery loves company, and OP sounds miserable. I bet if it weren't the epidural topic, it would be that she'd lost all the weight already, had more maternity leave, didn't get morning sickness, and had a baby that slept through the night. They want an echo chamber of back pats for doing motherhood, however they're doing it. And if this poor girl had had a traumatic birth, or a Velcro baby, or had to go back to work tomorrow, OP would probably be telling her, well, at least it is an X, because I had Y, and it was so much worse. Thank God Sarah has a good husband. The joker friends can screw off. I hope she finds better friends quickly, because honestly, it wouldn't be a difficult task. OP, it sounds like you're a bunch of cackling witches around a cauldron. You even made a separate group chat to talk about it. That just shows what kind of hill you're willing to die on. I, 24 female, recently returned to my hometown after being away for college and work. My grandma often hosts potluck parties where her 3 kids and their families can hang out. I'm a good baker, and the couple of times I brought baked goods over, I got lots of compliments, especially from the kids. I promised to make a cupcake for every kid, 9 kids all under 9, for the potluck we had last week. The adults would get a 2-pound cake to be shared. I elaborately decorated the cupcakes and made sure I made enough. I didn't have the energy to make extras. On the day of the party, one of my cousins brought her boyfriend and his kid, Gina, female pre-tween, over unannounced. Gina saw the cupcakes each kid got and wanted one, so my cousin brought her to me to ask for a cupcake. I apologized and told them that all the cupcakes were spoken for and that she was welcome to have a slice of the 2-pound cake, as it was the same flavor. Gina said she wanted the pretty cupcake. My cousin said I should just give her one because she was sure at least one of the kids wouldn't show up. Again, I refused, saying that I had promised all the kids a cupcake and that I'd feel awful if anyone had to miss out on the promised cupcake. My cousin then walked away with Gina. She was right, though, as one of our cousin's girls, Amy, pre-tween, was sick and couldn't come. However, her dad and older brother did, and the brother asked if he could take the cupcake back home to Amy, and I said yes. My cousin and Gina were in the kitchen when I brought the cupcake inside to pack it up for Amy. When they saw me packing the cake, they asked about it, and I said it was for Amy, who was sick. Pictures from the party were recently posted. Many parents posted pictures of their kids with my cupcake. My cousin sent me a message telling me that Gina was really upset that Amy, who wasn't even at the party, got a cupcake while she didn't. She said that I was an idiot for hurting a little girl's feelings. I think I did the right thing by giving Amy the cupcake, as I promised her one. Still, Gina was right there at the party. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. All the cupcakes were spoken for. Your cousin was essentially asking you to punish Amy for being sick by giving her cupcake to Gina instead. Gina was an add-on, and as such, she was welcome to enjoy the cake, but not to steal a cupcake that had been promised and designated for someone else. I disagree. You are the idiot. This is just so weird. I can't imagine a little girl seeing a cupcake and me not at least promising her one the next time. Telling her I didn't know she would be here, so I'd make her two next time to make up for it. I also couldn't imagine not at least making some extra cupcakes that were just iced and less elaborate. It seems weird to bring something when there's not enough for everyone and to limit it to just people under 9. You even made a cake with the same flavor. You could also have given the little girl the sick kid's cupcake and made the sick one a new cupcake when she felt better. It's a little kid watching everyone else get something special. She didn't cry or throw a tantrum. She was sad and disappointed, which would have made me feel horrible and do anything to rectify it. This is the perfect illustration as to why you don't bring surprise guests. Well, yes, it's generally good practice to make extras just in case. It's not a requirement, and it's not rude or a breach of etiquette if you don't. Some of the pretty baked goods are time-consuming, and I say this as a former pastry chef. I don't fault OP for not having the energy to make a couple of just-in-case cupcakes. Gina must learn that just because you want something doesn't mean you'll get it. Your cousin's teaching her stepdaughter to be entitled. Good on you for saving the sick Amy a promised cupcake. I'm sure it made her day or night. I married my now husband 3 years ago. He has a daughter who's 27 with a preschool-age kid and has now given birth to an infant girl. Her relationship with the father of her children is complicated, and he's out of sight right now without getting into more details. She has no income and can't pay rent, so she doesn't have a proper place. Thus, for the 4 months she's been living with us, those were the most hectic months of my life. Lack of sleep at night and chaos during the day. Lots of control over food because her older child is very picky and couldn't even watch TV properly because, again, the kid wants to see cartoons. My stepdaughter didn't try to have the father involved, seek child support, or try to find any solution for herself during the time she's been with us. And I'm tired of all of this. She isn't even giving me the potential that she might do something. She decided that this was where she'd live. So I told my husband that he has to get her a place and try to reach the father of her children, because this situation isn't working at all. He refused because, while he already is the one paying for all her stuff, he didn't want to pay extra rent. In our house, everything is 50-50, and it was like that even when she came. But he paid for extra necessities like children's clothes and diapers, etc. My stepdaughter doesn't want to get out either because she has her free cook and her free babysitters in the house. My husband doesn't want to pay extra rent. I held my ground that she's got until the end of this month to leave, or else I'll file for divorce, which will cost my husband a lot. I did sympathize with her situation, but now it feels like she doesn't even want to try to help herself, and I'm so disappointed in my husband. You are the idiot. Honestly, you may not like his response if your first move is to threaten divorce after only 3 years when things get tough, and you're expecting your husband to choose you over his daughter and grandchildren. Do not threaten your husband. Don't make him choose between you and his kid. The kid wins every time. Exactly. You married for better or for worse. Now you've hit a hard time, only a few years into the marriage, and your reaction is to threaten divorce? You're asking your husband to choose between his wife and his daughter, a very tough choice for any parent. I feel sorry for him having to make this decision. Some group therapy may help the three of you learn conflict resolution skills. It sounds like it's needed. Anyone calling the OP the idiot can send this woman money for a new apartment. OP, not the idiot. It would be one thing if this was a short-term situation, but according to your post, she has 0 job prospects, no skills, and no way of ever earning money. She will live there forever with the kids. Not what you signed up for when you married. You're paying 50% of the household expenses, including her and the kids. Until things change, stop doing for everyone. Don't pay 50-50 because rent should be split at least between the adults, so only pay a third. Don't cook for her or her kids. She's a big girl and can feed herself and her kids. Don't do their chores, babysit, etc. Take your TV to your room. If she wants a TV for her kids, she can buy one. Stop letting her benefit from your labor. I, 28 male, am the youngest of 3, even though if you ask my mother, she'd say 4. Before my eldest brother, Christopher's birth, my parents had another baby that was stillborn. His name was James. My parents consistently talked about him. He was included in family portraits, where one of us held the only picture we had of him, Christmas cards, etc. He was mentioned at every single big event. My brothers and I have tried to tell my parents that we're uncomfortable with the picture. Also, we don't want it included all the time. My mom always insists and tells us that James is family. She also gets upset if I refer to Christopher as my eldest brother, or if one of us says we have 2 brothers. We try to explain that we were born after James and don't have the attachment she does. This has led to several arguments, and usually it isn't worth it, so we just give in and say fine. She can bring the photo and talk about James there. Christopher's getting married. After talking with his fiancée, Lily, they both said the picture could not come. They said they'd include James in the program alongside Lily's grandmother, who passed, as a sort of guest we're thinking of on this special day. But there will be no detailed essay that our mom usually includes on the holiday cards to memorialize James. She got very upset by both things and called them insensitive. They're sticking to their guns. My mom was venting to me, and I told her I agreed with Christopher and Lily. I said that James wasn't there. We had no connection to him, and she can't keep shoehorning him in. She can't expect us to make everything about him. Obviously, she won't ever be over James's death, but it's time to stop making him front and center. I also added that none of us view James as our brother. She began to cry and left. My dad is angry with me beyond belief, as are some other family members. My brothers are on my side, but I need some unbiased perspective. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your parents needed therapy to deal with this about 30 years ago. Of course, losing James was very hard for them, and it's very sad. But this enduring clinging to that is not normal or healthy. If they want to do something to remember him on his birthday, okay, maybe, but not on every occasion, not when none of your siblings ever knew him. She's made it more about the potential life James could have had than the actual lives her living kids do have. I have a feeling she'll insist the first grandson is called James. Yikes, someone really needs to put a firm foot down before that suggestion comes up because it would get so messy. The wedding is about the bride and groom. Your mother needs to come to terms with the fact that she had 4 children in her lifetime, but for years, you've only ever had 2 brothers. It's not normal to make children hold a photo of a dead baby in family photos. It's not normal to send pictures of a dead baby with Christmas cards. Someone should have intervened with your parents years ago, but at the very least, now that you all have to confront the issue, it's time to get them some help.